Okay, let's move on. So there's a Demon Mama video that will explain to us a certain situation that I... What? Mama goes monarchist? Very serious debate? What's that? Okay, we're gonna check Demon Mama. Demon Mama's been up to some things. I see. What's this?
Conflict between kings and lords and whatever. You want to see a real disaster? You wait until nation states, democratic or pseudo-democratic nation states get into a war. Then you end up with nuclear bombs.
Oh. Demon Mama's being based. Trashing nation states. Good. Good. I can already see that this is going to be a good video. But there's a thing that I seem to have missed. Where is it? Like, Hunter Avallone's gender confusion. All I know about this is that I'm nearing the Polish campaign in Age of Empires 2. If you're interested, I can play Civilization 6 as Poland on stream. You know? So, I know that Hunter Avallone has some really bad takes on Xenogenders. And there was something about it, I have no clue what. I know that Hunter Avallone has debated his wife about Xenogenders, but that was ages ago. And now suddenly there's some controversy about fairly recent, like Kefals even mentioned it in the talk with Baron Penada. And now I'm really curious what it's all about because I have no clue. I have no context. And Demon Mama's really good at giving context. So I want to learn about this. So I click on the Demon Mama video so I can learn about it and give my opinion. Yeah? Do you think it's a good idea? Let's go. Civilization 6 has a Polish thing.
You think I'm an ignorant savage, and you've been so many places, I guess it must be so, but still I...
Wait, is this a whole stream video? Hey, I wanna go to straight to the Hunter Avallone thing.
Time. My lovely imps. Today we are going to talk about a person by the name of Hunter Avallone. Now,
Wait, what's Avallone? What do you mean?
Hunter has a complicated history online, and Hunter and I actually have a history online, and I'm going to tell you that history before we get into this because I think it will make this entire
Yeah, Jadwiga. King Jadwiga, actually. Interestingly enough, the Kingdom of Poland actually had a woman who became king. And you also are Jadwiga in Civilization 6. So I guess game makers are really fond of that time period.
thing more interesting. Excuse me, hiccups. That will make it more interesting. So, Hunter Avallone used to be a pretty prominent right-wing content creator. Okay?
Yeah.
Hunter Avallone was like the sort of like React anti-SJW type guy. He did a lot of videos like sort of like mocking random teenagers on TikTok for having green hair. He did a lot of that kind of stuff.
Right.
And he did that for a couple of years, and then he had and then he left the right, which is what he called it. And a lot of this was in part thanks to having a series of conversations with a really small left-wing content creator that I'm sure none of you know about by the name of Vosh.
Vosh!
Vosh had some conversations.
That well-known predator? That Vosh that we just heard about in the talk with Baron Penada? He should have had a series of talks with Baron Penada.
And over time, Hunter found those
That would have
convincing and decided that he was going to leave the right. Now, when this happened, I had quite a decent amount of respect for Hunter being willing to take a financial hit, which no doubt he did. Credit where credit is due. Hunter leaving the right was probably a very, very difficult thing to do for him. And I wanted to show you something, okay? Because I really want you to understand where I'm coming from with this, okay?
Okay.
I'm going to show you something real quick. And I want you to take a look at this.
There's something really...
Okay, so this is from some time ago. I left this comment literally years ago.
There's something, how should I say it? I will be open with you, okay? I will be open with you. This is all fields over reels, but there is something really rigid about Hunter Avallone. I can't put my finger on it, but there's this feeling of rigidness, you know? There's this feeling of rigidness about Hunter Avallone, but I cannot. Maybe it's because he's stern.
It says 2 years, but I think it's actually more than that. Let's take a look at this, okay?
He's
So
good,
here
but
is
there are some
video,
topics.
Why I left the right.
There are some topics on which he's not that great. On Xenogenders is one of those topics.
There's Hunter Avallone right there. Why I left the right, okay?
I remember
Now
that
let's scroll
video.
down here. And here, look at this. Who's that? Do you see who that is? Oh my God. Look at that. That's me. That says Demon Mama 2 years ago.
And he attended some far-right conference. He was invited as a right-wing speaker. And that was the most gutsy move that he did, right? He went to that far-right conference or right-wing conference or whatever. He went to the podium and said, all of that stuff is totally stupid. That was like a really gutsy thing, you know? Like, that was a gutsy thing to do, to go to that right-wing thing and say, this is all just silly.
So
Not
this was when
podium.
this was pretty early on in my streaming career. And I saw Hunter Avallone's conversations with Vosh, and then I saw this video. And I decided I was going to comment. I'm going to read you the comment real quick, okay? I'm a pretty contentious trans woman content creator online. I've had a lot of problems with your takes, but seeing this video is actually something kind of refreshing to see online. Vosh and Hyena, that's Vermin, have both taught me a lot too. And if they think your heart is in the right place, I think I'm willing to give your content a chance. I won't be easy on you, but your story strikes a chord with me as someone who is now a well-researched lefty who grew up in a very religious right-wing environment. You guys know I grew up in a fundamentalist Christian cult. It was an incredibly intense experience that I had during childhood. I do wish you the best in your new direction. Being trans, I can understand the incredible freedom and the fear that can come from living and expressing genuinely. Obviously, political views are a little bit different, of course, but there are similarities. Congratulations on leaving the right. It was incredibly freeing for me back when I left the right, too. Because I did. It happened offline.
Oh, no,
I
right.
was not a content creator when I left the right.
He was pretty far right, but not that far right?
I left the right, you know, in my early 20s after realizing that the cult that I'd grown up in was horrendously toxic and had been abusing me and my family for a very long time. But I had no way of knowing that because I barely knew anything about the outside world. So I wrote this message 2 years ago, and the reason that I'm bringing this up is because I want you to understand that I have given Hunter Avallone a lot of charitability, okay? I'm going to show you something else, okay?
Okay,
Which
show
is,
me.
real quick, let me bring this up, okay?
Yeah.
This was back in March of 2021, okay?
Okay.
March of last year, okay? Take a look at this, all right? This is Hunter Avallone debating Lauren Southern. And this happened about a little bit less than a year ago. Now, here we go. I actually have some comments on here. And I actually said both of those. I had 2 comments on this video. Now, I coached Hunter Avallone for this video. As in, when I say I coached, I sat in a call with Hunter Avallone for like 2+ hours.
Okay.
Went through his document, helped him build a better argument for debating with Lauren Southern, specifically on trans issues.
Right.
So once again, this is not a, I just want to make sure that you guys understand how far and charitable I was willing to go with Hunter Avallone. Okay, I went really far trying to make sure that there was a bridge built with Hunter Avallone and all of that. Now, shortly after this debate happened, a number of events had occurred. Okay, so the first thing that started happening was that Hunter was beginning to take a slightly different direction with his content. He was moving away from sort of general leftism, his interest in general leftism, and instead started to sort of go towards, let's call it progressive liberalism. He had joined and become involved in a particular debate space, in a particular community that many of us know, and so his content started to reflect that a little more. Then some of you might recall
protects
a
Stephen
little
a lot.
tidbit of my lore, which was that in early 2021, I was turbo dogpiled for for what people call the supply chains discourse. Sometimes they also call it the bathtub meth discourse. Sometimes they also call it the bathtub estrogen discourse. Sometimes they also call it the rise of Walter White. Sometimes they also call it the rise of Thanos. Sometimes they also call it the rise of Demon Mama. You know, there's various things like this. There's many names for this drama. And I wanted just to summarize this real quick so that you understand the whole context of me and Hunter's relationship. I made a tweet in response to an argument that some people were having, in which I said that people should be prepared to have to work outside of capitalist supply lines. And I said that people should start, if you are interested in medicine and you genuinely want to help alleviate the
I mean, I guess some of the question becomes, if things really become bad in some places in the world, what do you do when the supply chains simply break down? When you don't really have an option to depend on them, right? Like depending on how bad the whole climate change goes, it's not totally out of the questions that the supply chains might simply break down, right?
On communities that are currently placed on many people by capitalist supply lines, by capitalist supply chains, which are for profit, then people should learn chemistry. People should begin to purchase and store and stockpile important lab materials. They should talk to rural doctors and rural healers who are already doing the work to, you know, take care of people outside of the capitalist supply chain. And of course, this was dogpiled to hell, including...
To be fair though, like if you're actually contacting a doctor, you know, even if it's outside of a capitalist supply chain, then at that point you're not exactly doing it yourself anymore. If you're actually in touch with a professional, right?
By Hunter Avallone. In fact, in a very strange move, Hunter Avallone actually completely blocked me over that tweet, which wasn't at him, which wasn't about him, which didn't have anything to do with him whatsoever. Now, another interesting thing happened at this time, okay? Which is right after right around...
Yeah, and it's reasonable to know what to do when that happens, right? I don't think it's unreasonable to be prepared for like situations when a thing that you take for granted may just not work for you anymore.
Around the time that he blocked me, a manifesto had been written about me and my partner, Doe. This manifesto was nothing short of a harassment document, and there has been another one since then. If I'm getting my timeline right, I forget sometimes how many manifestos have been written about me.
True.
But the manifesto had been written about me, and it had a lot to do. It fixated a lot on my partner Doe, and
there are places like when that happens all the time. There are places when the capitalist, like the chains are not established to begin with. Right?
It's gender identity. For those who don't know, Doe uses its pronouns and often jokingly not even jokingly, often refers.
There are places that don't even have the supply chains to begin with.
For example, Doe's name is Doe. Doe's name is
Okay.
actually Doe, and
The actual Doe's name, legal, as in legal name, is Doe?
it's very strange because Hunter Avallone got super mad at my partner kind of out of nowhere. So you now see why I was telling you why for like multiple years Hunter and I were not only on good terms, but I actually went out of my way to help Hunter for free, to be as supportive publicly as I could, even though my platform was smaller than his. So he blocked me randomly at that point, and then he started doing all this weird stuff. And then, about a little over 6 months ago, he posted a video that was nothing short of just explicit.
Of course, you could make a case that supply chains are not inherently tied to capitalism as well, right? Right. Supply chains are not exactly inherently tied to capitalism, I think. See, Hunter had a conflict with... Yeah, we're learning about it now.
Explicitly denouncing xenogenders. Now, when he says xenogenders, he's very careless about what he means when he says xenogenders. This, of course, was part of a massive dog pile on my partner, Doe, who I mentioned before. Doe has been dogpiled about the its pronouns, about the vague concept of xenogender, even though I should note, Doe does not identify as xenogender. Doe has never used the term xenogender for itself. It just talks about the fact, it's super ironic that Doe has become like a symbol for xenogender, even though Doe has literally...
Yeah, and like as much as Poland before 1989 was not communist, it wasn't real communism, it was also not exactly capitalist either, right? And it had supply chains of its own kind, right? So like, yeah. You can look it up, right? Supply history of supply chains. The history and evolution of the global supply chain. Global supply chains. And keep in mind that global supply chain is something different altogether than a local supply chain, right? The supply chain before 1900s, local and regional supply and manufacturing. See, local and regional supply. Prior to the Industrial Revolution in Europe and the US, the vast majority of supply chains were local in nature and typically restricted to regions. For example, in an agrarian supply chain, a farmer would cut the wheat, send it to the mill for grinding into flour, then send it to a baker to make it into bread, and finally it would be sold at the market stall. Right? That's also like a form of supply chains, right?
Really never use that word to describe itself. It just is named Doe and uses its pronouns, and sometimes talks about how gender should be undone. Now, Hunter has been banging this drum about xenogender people for some time, and it came back around.
So I guess you could make a case, even that Demon Mama is like making a proposition to do more localized chains that would be less dependent on a bigger thing that could someday stop providing for your local community, right? Like I think even Demon Mama found herself in a situation when she didn't have electricity and stuff like that because like the wider grid failed and there was talk about maybe organizing some locally like electricity generators, stuff like that, right? I mean, it's not unreasonable to speak of such things.
Very loudly over the last couple of days. And it's pretty fucking toxic, I've got to say. Like there's a whole lot that I want to say about it. We're gonna watch what Hunter Avallone actually said, but I have to say that on a meta level, I find it very fucking weird, okay? I find it really weird. I find it strange that somebody who is ostensibly a leftist now, somebody who ostensibly believes in trans rights, and somebody who ostensibly, as we're going to see, believes and supports non-binary people would spend so much time and effort whipping up
community-run backup generators.
No, sorry, I shouldn't say harassment campaign here.
A community-run backup generators is basically like an equivalent when it comes to electricity of what Demon Mama was talking about, right? I think that's okay.
That was a mistake. Whipping up,
especially in kind of like in places that like have a history of like electricity being cut, right?
Anger over xenogender people. At most, xenogender people represent a minority of a minority. I
think it's like maybe like I'm taking a bit of like an extreme stance on the xenogender. I think it's more than okay. I think it's just as okay as any other gender, right? If gender is like a non-binary, if men and women are just two genders on a wider spectrum, then what's the problem, right? It's strange to be angry about stuff like that.
People represent a pretty a minority faction. There's about one.
It doesn't even matter if it's a minority faction. Like I don't think it's even that important. I think it's just okay, you know.
% of the world's population, give or take, are trans people. But
I think that Demon Mama also has this take. I have a feeling Demon Mama also has this.
Gender people are probably, I don't even know, maybe 1% of that 1%. We're talking a hyper minority. Anybody who's watched my content for a long time should know I fucking hate bullies, okay? I hate bullies. I hate people who basically pick on other people for no other reason than they perceive a vulnerability and they want to get laughs out of it. I think that's one of the lowest things that you can do. Bullying somebody, you know, picking on someone because you perceive them to be weaker and that you can just get free laughs out of it is like a really fucking shitty thing to do, especially if that person has done no wrong whatsoever.
True.
And as it turns out, this is basically what has happened to the handful of people online who identify as xenogender, who use the xenogender terms, okay? They are subject to a never-ending discourse.
I don't know, like I think the only real obstacle is sometimes that they might be not as intuitive to learn, but I think if there's will, there's a way. You can just ask people, if you know they use xenogenders, you can just ask people to repeat them, right? You just ask people to repeat them, and it's fine, right? I don't see the problem. I like Wikipedia description of xenogenders. These gender identifiers are typically defined metaphorically in relation to animals, plants, things, or sensory characteristics rather than male or female. Right. It's like a person's relationship with gender.
Wasteful, stupid, underbaked discourse that is targeted directly at them, and it hooks into an actual harassment campaign that has been led by Kiwi Farms, by people like Destiny and his manifestos, by other people associated with that community, on top of the Republican surge towards trans genocide in
True.
America. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you see what I'm talking about? Do you
Yeah,
see
of
how
course.
fucking weird it is to me that you would find the time of day to actually commit a lot of time to targeting and delegitimizing people who are doing no harm, people who, as we are going to see, Hunter does not understand, in the midst of a enormous nationwide campaign of harassment towards trans people.
True.
And if you don't believe me about that part, about the nationwide campaign against trans people, I have a whole video on it. It's called
I
This
believe you, okay? I believe you.
Could Concern You. It has a picture of America with a trans flag over it. Super easy to find. Go check it out. Demon Mama, This Should Concern You. And I lay out my entire case, although I will point out...
It's about bullying of people if you think about it. And like, this is like with, first of all, like the Xenogenders are part of the broader non-binary umbrella, and the non-binary people, and like some would have you believe, is under the broader trans umbrella. So as a trans community, we must stand together, right? Because there are some people that would like to exclude xenogenders and non-binary people as well as fake trans people, you know, quote unquote. Right? And we just... No. No. If you want to exclude some people as fake, screw you, right?
that just later in this stream, for those of you who are watching live and who aren't watching the video, by the way, like and subscribe if you're watching live now, or if you're watching
Yeah,
the
like
video
and
in the future.
subscribe and become a Patreon.
Give me your likes and your subscriptions, and make sure you
True.
ring the bell, okay?
Exactly.
There you go. There's the little plug. We're
Do
going to
this
talk
for
about
me,
later in this
Igla.
stream
Please, thank you.
the fact that
Will you do this for me, Igla?
the fact that like every single conservative news outlet right now is hyper fixated on trans people.
True.
And I have to say, I find it weird that Hunter Avallone fixates on trans people to this degree. Okay? Now, a couple of days ago, there was, like I said, this discourse started, and in fact, Hunter Avallone posted a random tweet. Okay, I'm gonna try and show you this tweet. Oh, I forgot I'm blocked. I can't actually. I have to. We got to do the old trick. Okay, we got to do the old trick.
Uh-oh.
The old private window trick. Here we go. Okay, here we go. So randomly, he responded and said, I haven't watched the video or anything, but being against neo-pronouns doesn't make you a bad person. Neo-pronouns are pretty stupid, just like neo-genders are illogical.
Neo-genders? What's
He
up?
kind of mixed up some of his terms there, but
I'm gonna be honest, I don't see anything illogical in xenogenders. If you accept that genders are not a binary, then it makes perfect sense. Like, I know that, Hunter Avallone would make this case that it's like about femininity and masculinity and all those other things refer to objects or animals. But I would say that it doesn't refer to them in like literal sense, right? It's like in that definition, metaphorically, in relation, right?
this sentiment is basically people who are non-binary but aren't non-binary in the way that I want.
True.
Are cringe or stupid or
Exactly.
illogical. And of course, this was responded to by a very based person named Cherry, who said, well, who made you the gender police? And then Hunter Avallone posted a a quote tweet with 2 video clips. Xenogenders make no sense. Not sorry. Now, I've seen some of his fans say, Hunter is learning. He's learning, okay? He's learning. But that's not the behavior of somebody who's learning.
No.
Going out of your way
No,
to be
no.
like, I'm not sorry. You're invalid. You're stupid and illogical. That's not learning.
That's not learning,
not like
no.
some sort of magnanimous act. it's actually agitating and targeting a hyper minority of people without even trying to understand them first. Now, he posted 2 clips here, and we are going to watch the video.
Okay, let's watch
or at least we're going to watch the segment of the video from
That's
which
pretty bad.
these are from. And we're going to talk about it a little bit, because boy, do I have a lot to say on this particular issue. So let me just get that up real quick, and we're going to react to that in real time, okay? All right, here we go. This is the first one. We're just going to watch the whole segment that he does on Xenogenders, okay? Because I think this will be enlightening.
Of abolishing.
Here we go. All right, so here we go. This is Hunter Avallone's video called, hold on,
Good
My
empanada.
Hot Take About Gender.
Okay, oh no.
I have a feeling it's not going to be a
Like,
hot
I'm just gonna tell you right now, I've seen a few debates, I've seen a few videos of Hunter Avallone on gender, and it's not good. Like, he says, this is what I mean when I say that Hunter Avallone has certain rigidness about him, right? There's a certain level of rigid, like, I don't...
take. I have a feeling it's going to be a cold take, but you know what? Let's give it a chance, shall we? Let's do it. Here we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to talk about gender. Whew, I know. It is such a controversial and heated topic at this point. What is gender? What is gender referring to?
Wonder why. If even he can acknowledge that it's a heated and controversial topic, that begs the question, why? Why is it a controversial and heated topic? Could it be perhaps that there is a nationwide campaign to smear trans people of all types as mentally ill and groomers? Could it be that that's what's going on in the country right now? I guess the world will never know. Let's continue.
Like...
It is a social construct. Does that mean gender can be anything? Does that mean gender is everything? How do we go about abolishing gender? These are all questions that people consistently ask and debate. Now, let me try to break down my argument the best I can, okay? 1, I am in favor of abolishing gender. And when I say that, I don't...
Okay. Point number 1, and
All
remember
right.
this, imps. Hunter Avallone claims to be in favor of abolishing gender.
Okay. I think it's a good idea, as long as it leads to anyone being able to, at the end of the day, because at the end of the day, I believe it's not really important what gender label you belong to, right? We don't really want to belong to a certain label. We want to be accepted as being presenting, existing as we want, right? Does that make sense? Right?
Oh yes, we will take a look at this. Exactly.
Does
We'll
that
take a
make
look at this.
sense?
Exactly. Thank you, Vermin. Here we go.
mean condemn people for having certain gender roles. Or
That's what we
expressions or
actually
fitting into
want at
certain
the end of the
genders
day,
that
right?
we culturally and socially recognize, okay?
Ah! Now that was a little sneaky there. Did you catch it? Let's listen to it again. I want you to listen to this again very carefully, okay?
Mean condemn people for having certain gender
We shouldn't condemn people for having certain gender
roles or expressions
roles
or fitting
or
into certain
expressions
genders that we culturally and socially recognize, okay?
that we culturally and socially recognize. Very interesting there. So I believe in gender abolition. However, I believe that people should not be bullied as long as they are behaving in a way that is culturally and socially
Acceptable,
recognized.
which is,
As you can see, this video is off to an incredibly stupid start. The idea
Exactly.
that you can claim to be a gender abolitionist and then in the literal same sentence, you can then say that only for genders that we socially and culturally recognize,
that's,
that's what man and woman was. For most of history, those were the only accepted and recognized genders.
true.
Because most of the world lived under a a Christian near theocracy in which there are only two essential ways to be, the man and the woman. And if you violate those things, you are offending God. So this is a conservative argument. I'm not trying to be mean. I'm not trying to call Hunter Avallone a conservative, but saying that you're a gender abolitionist, but that you believe that only genders that are socially and culturally recognized, it either
that's
has to
not
mean
good.
that you are so broad in your definition of socially and culturally recognized
That's
that
not
of
a
course
good argument.
xenogender people and neo-pronouns would be totally acceptable, or it has to mean that you're bullshitting. You have to be saying that, oh, only if society deems it's okay. Very strange way to open his video. Let's go.
Okay.
What I mean by that is I want to abolish the forcefulness of gender. I want to abolish the idea that, oh, I just had a little boy, my little child born with a penis, let's go ahead and stick him in front of a bunch of trucks and, you know, when he gets older, maybe make him feel a little bad if he starts liking girly shit. That's not allowed over here. I want to get rid of the enforcement of gender because I think that we can...
That's not gender
Now,
abolishment,
do we want to
though.
look at the tweets that he said before? Neo-pronouns and
But that's not really gender abolishment, though, is it?
neo-genders are stupid and illogical. Not sorry. Doesn't that sound like he is actually doing literally exactly what he's condemning here? Doesn't it sound like he's like literally doing that thing? He's calling people stupid for the way that they identify, especially without even trying to understand their identity? Weird. Let's continue.
and realistically recognize that no matter what happens, gender will always exist and be a concept. It will.
Wait.
It is a result
Wait,
of...
so how can you abolish it if you think that it will always exist? That's nonsensical. Like, do you understand the terms that you are using?
Gender abolitionist. I want to abolish gender. Gender will always exist. Are you getting a little bit of hypocrisy or I haven't thought this through vibes?
Yeah.
For now, I would like to say
Like
that
what?
it is a matter of having not thought it through.
Okay.
However-
yes.
However,
Although it just makes no logical
given
sense.
everything else that we've seen in this segment, you guys now understand why I did the sort of wind-up. I don't think this is just a matter of not understanding. I think that this is a definitive position. I'm not sorry for this position. Xenogenders, neo-pronouns are invalid and stupid and illogical is what he said. Let's continue.
I mean, you did.
interaction and the way in which humans try and efficiently categorize people.
Efficiently.
There is no way that gender...
I have an issue with this framing. Efficiently categorize people. This is like, people say such things without really examining why they say it. What does it mean to, quote unquote, efficiently, like, categorize people? Efficiently in terms of what? Like, why do we want to efficiently categorize people? Do you know what I mean? What do we mean when we say efficiently categorize people? Like, this is just sounds like saying it for the sake of saying it because it sounds logical and smart. Efficient means good, you know?
going to disappear entirely. What we can do
Do you know what I mean?
is get rid of the forcefulness and the expectations that we associate with gender.
By calling people who express their gender differently stupid, illogical, and invalid, right? Right? Is that how we do that, Hunter? Is that how you do that? You want to stop the enforcement by enforcing on people that you personally don't like? Seems like a flaw in your logic.
Yeah.
That is what we should be focusing on. Because you'll have people that say, well, I'm a woman and I like to wear the pink dresses, or I'm a boy, I like to play football with the other guys. That's fine. Yes, you do you, boo, okay? The
Boo?
problem comes when I'm a boy and I like to wear dresses, or I'm a boy and I don't want to play football, and then that boy is seen as less of a man. That's the problem. It is the abolishing of gendered expectations that I'm focused on, not
But abolishing of gender expectations is not that's not in the ballpark of like abolishing gender.
abolishing gender entirely, because there's just always going.
The gender abolitionist who doesn't want to abolish gender.
Exactly.
I'm going
That's
to take a minute here and I'm going to explain what most people mean when they say that they want to abolish gender. When people say they want to abolish gender, they don't mean obviously they don't mean deleting the word gender. I'm going to be a little charitable to Hunter here, and I'll say maybe that's what he meant. Maybe he means, oh, we're not going to delete the word gender. Obviously, the word gender will exist because there's going to be historical documents, etc., etc. When people say they want to abolish gender, it means they want to get rid of gender as a meaningful social category whatsoever, because it's not one. Gender is a totally irrational social structure. There are all of these things, these stereotypes that are made about women, these claims that are made about women. There are all of these claims that are made about men. There are all of these claims made about the entire broad spectrum of non-binary identities, and they're all bullshit. Because
and usually when it comes to non-binary identities, the claim is that it's a fake identity. Let's not mince words here. That is usually the claim that is being made about non-binary identities. A claim that we should push against very strongly.
Gender was not designed to explain reality. Gender was designed to create reality. It was designed to shape the way that we live our lives. The gender roles that we know, gender as we understand it now, was created to make sure that women stayed in the home doing the work so that men could go be soldiers and work in the factories and go to war. That's what it was done. It was done to enforce the Christian ideal of the family. That's where this all
And again, I would remind you that the traditional gender roles, quote unquote, for hundreds of years did not even consider a woman to be human and a citizen. Men were considered human, and by extension they were considered to be citizens when the French Revolution came around, you know? So we really should learn about the history of those things that of the status quo.
Comes from. So when people say that they're a gender abolitionist, it means they want to break that system down. Say, why the hell are we trying to categorize and force people into various gender boxes? Why are we trying to police gender so much? That's what gender abolitionism generally means. It doesn't actually just mean it doesn't actually just mean telling boys that they can't, wear a dress. That's not gender abolitionism. That's just like sort of bog standard progressivism.
True.
Because of course, if you go one step further, the absurdity is revealed, right? Like what is wrong with the idea of telling a man that he can't wear a dress? Well, the thing that's wrong with that idea is that the idea that a dress is somehow a woman clothes. How does a clothes now have a gender?
Exactly.
Do you see how ridiculous and illogical gender is in that way? Why does a clothes have anything to do with your gender? And your gender is often tied in this society to your sex, even though we all know that nobody actually knows their sex. And also people of all kinds of different sexes, from XX to XY to everything, the many intersex in between, that all of these people dress and act and behave in all kinds of different ways. Again, the idea behind gender abolition is to treat the root cause. The idea that gender is an oppressive structure that we are all locked into, that it is a bad way of thinking about the world, that constantly trying to think about everybody's gender all the time, a thing that we completely made up and that is totally in service to a specific model of the family, is an absurd concept that we should do away with so that people can be more free, so that people can be more happy. There you go. Let's continue.
Going to be some kind of a concept of gender, at least in any foreseeable future. That's the first thing. Just to be clear, so you guys know where I'm coming from here. The second thing is, and this is where it's going to start getting more controversial. There are certain people that support this idea of xenogenders, and they say that, well, anything can be a gender. They literally will tell you that. They'll tell you that if somebody identifies as a tree, then they are tree gender. There are problems with this.
What?
One, what separates...
So we're at the heart of the issue now.
Right.
That he has some sort of set of problems with xenogender people. And I want to ask real quick, I want everybody to be thinking about this as we hear his response. What makes somebody a woman? What makes somebody a man? What makes someone woman gender? What makes someone man gender? What would make somebody tree gender? And the truth is, that is a incredibly it is a question that will literally result in a cacophony of answers, all of which are totally in disagreement with one another. If you ask somebody what makes woman gender, some of them will tell you that it's dresses, some of them will tell you that it's about genitals, some of them will tell you it's about the role you play in society, some of them will tell you that if it looks like a woman, it is a woman. That's the way that people will talk about it. You'll get a slew of answers. And of course, the reason for this is that man and woman were made up. They are man gender and woman gender. We don't say the gender part, but woman and man are literally just as made up as tree gender. They are abstractions. Do you understand? Woman and man are abstractions. There is no original woman. There is no original man. And even if there was, none of us would be that person. Because every woman is unique and different, and none of them have all of the traits that make someone a woman-gendered person. These are absurd concepts that don't serve us well.
Right.
Keep that in mind when we go into this part. Let's hear what Hunter Avallone's problems with xenogenders are. Okay, let's go.
If we're going to go for the example of tree gender, what separates your gender from just something you like, an interest?
Good question. That's a
Exactly.
great question. What does
What is your
separate
answer?
gender? So if a woman is a woman because she dresses up a certain way and acts a certain way and fulfills certain roles, don't you feel that that's sort of just like personality affinity? Because it literally is. Most of the things that people point to when they're talking about gender are performative aspects of gender. They are expressions. They are forms of self-expression. I consider myself feminine because I dress and talk and act a certain way that I think this word fits well. These are abstractions, just like tree. Let's continue, though.
All right.
What separates it? What makes them different? What makes gender distinct? Well, it's a big foundational...
Isn't that a strange question to be asking if you are a so-called gender abolitionist? Anyway, let's
Right.
part of
Exactly.
themselves, okay? Your race can be a foundational part of how you perceive yourself as well. I'm not white gender.
Maybe you are. It's funny that he brings that up because I always make a joke on this show that there are people who happen to be white and there are white people. And the difference is the level of investment you have in your skin color. I would argue that people like white supremacists are white gendered. They may as well be. They dress a certain way to show off that they're white supremacists. They go to certain events. They behave certain things. They have certain public beliefs that they say out loud. It is. It's a form of expression that is honestly very difficult to disentangle from gender. Of
Very
course,
essential.
all of this is true unless you take a position in which you believe that gender is intrinsically tied to sex, which is a totally different conversation because there are people who believe that out there. A lot of people. Christians believe that.
Right.
The conservative movement as a whole believes that your sex is a predeterminative factor, that your
Right.
sex tells you that you are not supposed to be in the workplace. Your sex tells you that you are weaker. Your sex tells you that you are stronger. we know, of course, scientifically and socially that this is, of course, bullshit. There are strong women, there are short men, there are tall women, there are short women, there are women of all different types, women who are domineering and men who are very
Dominatrix.
passive. This shit is all
Mama.
bullshit. The idea that gender and sex are tied together is completely nonsense. And I would assume that somebody who calls themselves a gender abolitionist would agree with that position.
True.
But it is a little bit odd when you hear him saying saying things like, well, what makes gender distinct, and you can't identify as an abstract concept for your gender. Because if he's making the argument,
This is really,
you can't
yeah.
identify as an abstract concept for your gender,
Because
not only is he saying that
I know what this leads to. I know his argument. He will tie it to femininity and masculinity, right? Directly.
woman and man are not abstract concepts, they are, but he's making the claim that there's something intrinsic and essential to those things.
Yeah, which is the Stephen argument, basically. A destiny argument. So, I guess...
Which to me would indicate that maybe Hunter hasn't quite actually fully developed his critique and his understanding of sex and gender. Let's continue.
People aren't black gender. So what makes gender gender? What is gender referring to? Gender, and this is where I'm going to get crucified for this, but I do not care. And if I hear a better argument, I will change my position, okay? But my understanding is that gender refers to how people perceive themselves and behave and express themselves in regards to what is culturally recognized as being masculine, feminine, on that type of spectrum. And
So what he has just described here
It's sex.
is a sex-based gender binary. Gender can only, in his mind, by his argument that he's presented here, refer to masculine and feminine. This is a binary model. There is masculine, there is feminine. And he's saying, well, you can mix them up. I think he talks about this a little bit, but you can mix them up a little bit, but don't talk about, don't name it anything else. It has to be masculine and feminine. And of course, we all know that masculine and feminine is tied to sex. Isn't that a
True.
strange fucking position for someone claiming to be a gender abolitionist to take?
That is true.
Let's continue.
then you have non-binary individuals.
No disagreement
who,
so far.
Again, are non-binary. Their gender exists as a gender because it is a rejection of the binary of gender. Again,
I don't understand how he can miss this. He just proposed a binary model where everything has to, where gender has to be related to masculine and feminine. Then he talks about non-binary people who reject the binary.
Although I guess to maybe try to steerman Hunter Avallone here, he's sort of alluding to he's saying that femininity and masculinity themselves exist on a spectrum, right?
They reject the idea that your expression is bound by masculine and feminine. This is not a hard concept to understand. Non-binary people aren't 50% masculine, 50% feminine. Non-binary people are saying, why the fuck would I try to cram myself into masculine versus feminine outside of the lightest level of sort of aesthetic flavoring?
No, I guess we should caveat this with saying that there are many different sorts of non-binary people, right? Like non-binary people is like a very, I mean, as the name implies, like very diverse group. Some people sort of see themselves as this between masculinity and femininity. Some people see themselves as totally outside of it. Some people see themselves as non-binary, just non-binary masculine trans people. Some people, but I mean, I think it's clear that Demon Mama knows and understands this. So,
Like, for example, I often refer to myself as a non-binary trans woman. And
See?
the reason
Exactly,
for that is
right?
because I have affinity for certain aspects of what is called womanhood. This is and I treat it as nothing more than aesthetics. And this translates in all of my arguments. This translates to all of the things I talk about. That I see woman as nothing more than a vague flavoring label that I happen to prefer. Anyway, kind of odd. Let's continue.
In regards to masculine or feminine, this is why non-binary people try to present more androgynous.
That depends.
But they don't. Some non-binary people
Yeah,
are
some, yeah.
intentionally androgynous. Yes. Some aim to be androgynous. They aim to balance that because that's the way they see themselves.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of non-binary
don't.
people out there in the world. Some non-binary people
Don't do that.
take a lot from what you would consider to be the mask side of things.
Like there is like the J of like James Stephanie Sterling, right? Also non-binary.
Some non-binary people take a lot from what you would consider to be the femme side of things. Some non-binary people don't actually take much from any of them and decide to craft their own vision of their identity.
Right, yeah.
We like to call these people non-binary.
Right. Yeah.
That is what gender refers to right now. Gender refers to something, because if somebody says, I am tree gender, and I say, why are you tree gender? What is different between being tree gender and then just having an interest or being, something you're into? Like,
What is the difference between being man gender and being woman gender? What defines man gender? What defines the gender of manhood?
Like, I think a better question that would be a one-to-one comparison to this would be, what is the difference between a man and just a person that likes manly things? Right? Well, you shouldn't say that, Talizan. You shouldn't leak all of the secrets.
That question has been avoided this entire time. He talks about it's funny. He harps on this tree gender thing, and it's funny because it is literally reactionary. It is saying, what tree? That's confusing to me. I don't like that. I need to strike back at that. But then not actually taking the time to go, well, wait a second. How would I even define man as a gender? Do you see what I'm getting at here? Do you see how it's like it's literally sidestepping the core piece of the issue, and as a result his arguments are unintelligible?
Mm-hmm. Oh, them.
car mechanic car gender? No.
Why not?
Interests, personality, hobbies are different from gender. But if they're different,
How? Explain how they're different. How is someone who identifies as a woman because they like pink, they like frilly soft things, they consider themselves feminine, those are words that they like to use for themselves, they like to participate in traditionally feminine things, even somebody who rejects the gender binary as a whole but still identifies with those aspects, how is that any different than somebody saying, I really love trees, I'm going to call my gender what I am inspired by? How is that any different? Like, he never he so far has not presented a single argument to explain what is different about these things.
Because he doesn't like it.
And the secret is, there is no difference, of course. But we'll continue and we'll get there.
All right.
then gender has to mean something. Then gender must be talking about something.
Or maybe
The underlying truth of the matter thing again.
you are a gender abolitionist and you recognize that gender means basically nothing. That gender has almost no actual intrinsic meaning, and the only meaning that gender has is assigned by various social claims.
True.
The bog standard gender abolitionist position, which you claim to be.
Uh-oh.
And then you'll have people that say, well, I want to abolish gender, so I want to say that everything's gender now. That'll just destroy the word completely. Because now gender will be everything. One,
I'm going to show you a product that proves that the standard American worldview is the belief that gender is everything. Ready? Hold on. Get ready.
Okay,
I'm bringing
ready.
it up.
I'm ready.
Okay? Hold on, here we go.
I am ready.
It's gonna blow your mind, all right?
Okay, okay.
Get fucking ready. Hope you're ready for it. You ready? Here it comes.
What
It's
is
a
it?
jump scare.
What?
Take a look at that. Behold the dude wipes.
What's
Okay?
this?
This is a real
What is
product.
this?
You
What
can
is
get
this?
Any Walmart in America, and this is like I said, it's in every Walmart in America. Newsflash: Americans gender everything. That's why people say that
Dude wipes.
trucks are masculine and guns are masculine and knitting is feminine and pink is feminine, even though there's no objective basis for this. This is why we have pink wipes and dude wipes, because Americans obsessively gender everything, and it's complete and utter nonsense. You, claiming to be a gender abolitionist, should understand the basics of this, but clearly
You don't.
Hunter Avallone was much more preoccupied with trying to pick on he was stuck in maybe it's an old habit of trying to make fun of people that he personally perceives as cringe and be a little bit of an internet bully for 6 months on the internet. Because keep in mind, this video is 6 months old, but he's posting about it fucking yesterday.
What?
Then now you've taken away gender from having any explanatory power, which I think is going to be at least detrimental in the short run.
How? How is it going to be detrimental? How does removing the
Actually, what is the explanatory power of gender? Dude wipes.
called explanatory power of gender hurt anyone? It has no explanatory power.
I just ask, what is the explanatory power of gender?
Fuck is a dude wipe even something that exists? It's a baby wipe that has been repackaged to rip off people like you. To fool people like you who believe that there is something spiritual about gender, that there is something intrinsic to your soul.
Really
about what gender you are, that
essentialist.
you need to have the dude wipes packaged in there, even though they are literally just baby wipes. They are aloe wipes that you could buy from the baby aisle, interestingly, for 1/10 of the price. There's a little hack for you. You guys, you know, you want to have nice hygiene? Buy baby wipes. Baby wipes come in a box this big. They're
I
designed.
bought mom baby wipes when she was in the hospital, by the way. It's a good advice. Like, it's just called baby wipes, but they're just wipes. Anybody can use them. I bought mom baby wipes. They're good. I use them. It's good advice.
For soft skin. They cost next to nothing. Those dude wipes will cost you $6 for a single pack with 40 wipes in it. Super, super ripoff. You're getting fucking ripped off. Let's continue.
Second of all, you're doing this.
This is
the hard way.
naming.
Why are you now going to try and validate Xenogenders,
I know,
which is
eh?
more or less people that just want to be special and try to carve themselves out as being unique and different?
I'm gonna ask a question here. Okay, here's a hot question, hot take. What's wrong with letting people feel special? I don't know what sort of answer I will hear for that. Like, sure, people want to feel special, but since when is that a bad thing? Like, why should we treat this even as a bad thing? You know? Like, okay, people want to feel special. Let them feel special. Like, what's wrong?
That's an interesting interpretation.
I don't see anything wrong with people feeling special, so that's not really a counter argument to me.
Do you see what I mean by saying that he's kind of like slipping into that old anti-SJW, like, I don't understand someone, so I'm just gonna call them cringe and that they're a special snowflake? You wanna know who's the real fucking special snowflake here, fucking Hunter? It's you. You're the special snowflake here. You have gone out and been like, I'm a gender abolitionist. I'm a gender abolitionist. Listen to me, hear my voice. Let me go on my giant platform on the internet and whine about a percentage of people on—
I don't know, people talk about people wanting to be, everybody wants to be special. It's like, it's normal, right? People like feeling special in some way.
who aren't harming
Like when
anyone.
you buy yourself something nice to wear, you sort of want to feel beautiful and special in a way, right? I don't know.
You're the fucking snowflake, bro. You're the fucking one going out of your way to pick on random small people so that you can get attention. Are you lonely? Is that it?
Are you lonely?
Care. If it's not if it's not just bullying, what the fuck is the harm that's going on here?
At the cost of unironically delegitimizing trans people who are currently fighting for their rights. I know that sounds like a conservative.
This is really bad. This is the worst argument of the whole video so far, because it's basically dividing the trans community, or at least like this attempted dividing. Like, oh, look at these people, they're hurting the broader movement.
How does it? Oh God.
Argument, and it can be used
Because it is. Arguing that xenogender people who aren't hurting anybody, who just use a different set of pronouns,
It's
who just
nonsense.
have let's be honest, a very, very mildly different interpretation of gender than other people are harming trans people is A, fucking insane, B, where's your fucking evidence? I already know.
Sources that I made it the fuck up.
And C, yes, it is a conservative argument. Yes, it fucking is.
used in bad faith. But in this regards, I don't need to deal right now with people on Twitter that are saying, you're transphobic if you don't recognize me as being vampire gender.
Then shut the fuck up. Then shut the fuck up. If you don't want to deal with people trying to address the stupid ass, fucking head ass arguments that you make, then shut the fuck up. Who made you the fucking gender cop? Who asked for your fucking opinion on gender? No one did. You can't even get your own fucking identity right. You're fucking identity confused. You think you're a gender abolitionist, but you explicitly state in this video that you don't want to abolish gender. So maybe you're the one who needs to fucking sit down and shut up and read some fucking threads about this.
Yeah.
What is he's got a fucking xenogender. It's fucking, I identify as a political position that I don't hold. Let's continue.
Yeah.
Furthermore, what is gender? It is about your self-perception and your behaviors in regards to what is masculine and feminine.
Ah, interesting. In the brilliant gender abolitionist position, the only things that they can be in reference to is masculine and feminine. This
See?
is a sex essential.
I told you this is where it was heading. Vampire gender sounds base, not gonna lie. True. True. But not emotional vampire gender, okay? Those are not nice.
Argument masquerading as a progressive argument. This is a conservative argument asserting that masculine and feminine are real concrete things that actually exist, not arbitrary social constructs, asserting that they are and saying that you are only valid if you build your gender with respect to those two things. An absurd argument.
It is
So
nonetheless
you cannot
Hunter's argument.
perceive yourself as a tree. There is no legitimate perception one.
Hold on a second. All right.
I don't even think that people that are transgender perceive themselves as literal trees. That's not a thing.
We ready for this? We ready for this? I'm about to show you a cis person, a bare gender cis person. Let's do it. Look at them. They got their cute little bear outfits from Wildcoat. 2022 was a bear who's ready for new adventures. Can we do some Wildcoat meetups? It's going to be unbearably amazing. Here's one called the Wild Wolf that lets you, these are not furries, by the way. These are just a brand of that lets you dress up. Look, it even has little paw pads. It has paw gloves, flexible, grippy paw mitten. Wolf, winter coat, ski jacket, winter wear, coat, winter fashion. Literally, people use animals and inanimate things all the fucking time. You want to know another?
What happened?
General Stonewall Jackson. Stonewall was his nickname. People called him General Stonewall. You want to know why they called him General Stonewall?
Why?
Because his personality was like that of a stone wall. He was a stony person. And his nickname, his identity, became built around an inanimate object. Everyone does this all the time. People do it all the time. In fact, my man, you got a panda on your shirt. Are you expressing public social affinity with a panda bear? Is that what's going on here? Because if so, you have committed the exact same crime that the Xenogenders have. People identify. Have you guys ever heard of people? Oh, here's a great one. Do you guys know what they call like a sexy older
Why?
man?
Why?
What is the term that people call a sexy older man?
I know. They call him Francisco Suavo. Okay, my answer is Francisco Suavo. This is what they call a sexy older man. Francisco Suavo. Is that it? We will find that in a moment. Okay? Okay? Ma. Giggling. So yeah.
Anybody know? Come on, somebody in chat, give it to me. You
What
guys know.
is it? Francisco Suavo.
Fox. A gray fox, a silver fox. Some people are saying bear. A bear is a big guy, not.
Yeah, exactly. Look at that Francisco Suavo over there. Fox. Francisco Suavo sounds better than Fox. Fox sounds like someone because we like when we think Fox, we think someone that is like hello. When we think Fox, we think of someone that is sly and conniving or something, right? Not like Francisco Suavo was like
Necessarily older.
you know what I mean.
But yes, a silver fox. And
Yes,
men
Francisco
often refer
Suavo.
to themselves as silver fox. In fact, if I was to type in gray
Really?
fox or silver fox into Google, I would probably get 100.
I think if you typed in Gray Fox into Google, you'd get Metal Gear Solid, to be honest. I think so. Let's type it in. I think you will get primarily Metal Gear Solid. Let's
Het blog.
let's check that theory in practice. Gray Fox. Burlando, nice. Let's see, Gray Fox. Oh, actually a fox. Actually, fox is not Metal Gear Solid, okay. Actual foxes. Gray Fox. But there is Metal Gear as well, okay? Was not wrong. Was not totally wrong. It's true. Shadow Moses, yeah. Hello, good for Gabby.
Blogs specifically about being an older man in the dating game. I bet we could do this right.
Exactly, just like in Metal Gear Solid when Snake fights his best friend, older man in the dating game. A cornet envy is more dangerous than a jackal. Great fox. Great fox. I stun foxes. Actual gray foxes. The ninjas in a cyber suit.
Right now, you guys can go test it in the chat right now. You go tell me if there's 100 blogs that are called like the Silver Fox Guide to scoring or
What the heck?
It's literally, it's so common that if you think about it for 1 second, you realize that all of this outrage about Xenogenders completely blows apart. Because calling your patrons the Grey Wolves, people say
I've never heard of like the gray foxes, but I'm not from the US, so you know.
saying, "Oh yeah, we're the oh my God, sports teams. I'm a Jaguar all the way, man. I'm a Kraken all the way, bro. I'm a Wildcat all the way, bro." People do it literally all the time. They're just not calling it gender when they do it that way. You're mad because Xenogender people are correctly
True, I see like played
gender
Suikoden,
is full of
exactly.
shit. and that if you can call yourself a
Also, is this the perfect time for me to actually say that Konami is doing the one good thing? We'll see how it will play out, but Konami is actually re-releasing like a remaster of Suikoden 1 and 2. So we're gonna play that on stream for sure, along with Ayuden as well. Become patrons. True.
woman
Oh,
because
I link my Patreon. Gigglers. Come on. Come on, Gigglers. Come on. Here, come on, Monte Cassino. I link my Patreon and I will let you do the rest, okay? Giggling. Also, Gigglers, I will tell you. Okay? Where is it? Also, I think... Are you in the... Wait, what the heck? I didn't know you were in the... I have to send you an invite. It's time for me to send my friend an invite. How do you send an invite? There you go, it's sent. If you play Morrowind, you can there's this Nerva 9. Psycho Mantis was like the one in the gas mask. Okay? That's Psycho Mantis. But please become a Patreon. Patreon. It's true. I think you understand me. My feelings.
you like a fancy purse, then you can say that I'm wolf gender because wolves influence your public appearance and your public behavior.
True.
It's
Not that you are literally a
unbelievably
wolf.
common.
Can have themselves of being a tree. You can theorize what it would be like to be a tree, but you cannot actually have that internal experience the same way we do, or the same way that trans people do in regards to gender.
Damn, good thing that no one that you're talking about here is
True.
claiming to literally
Nobody claims to be literally a tree. That's like such a bad argument. True. True.
be a tree. It's super ironic. Again, I gave you guys the wind up because I wanted to point out
That's a
that,
good gender to
there
be.
has been an insane amount of harassment directed at Doe simply because it calls itself Doe. Doe doesn't even call itself Xenogender. It just says very explicitly, I am heavily influenced by deers in my expression, and people lost the fucking plot. And this is true about
Yeah,
almost
that's because my people go wild about the its pronouns, but like people really get upset over the silliest things. Gamers didn't question when Ocelot goes through free identities at the end of Metal Gear Solid 4. That's because it's like hypnosis, computer complicated thing, you know?
every single xenogender
So it's
or
okay.
non-binary
So it's okay!
pronouns that I've ever met. I have literally never once in my life met someone who makes the claim that they are physically anything. If they did, they wouldn't be talking about gender anymore, would they?
True.
Anybody who is at the position of using neopronouns obviously is of the belief that gender is fucking bullshit. They are critiquing gender by with absurdism is what it is. It's a form of I don't even like the term of absurdism, but that's what it is. It's pointing out the flaws in gender by saying give me an actual argument as to why I can't say that my gender is best represented by foxes or by trees. It exposes.
Let people do what they want,
as
right?
Hunter
What the
Avallone is now
hell?
showing us now that people
Why
have a
shouldn't
problem
we?
with their perception of gender,
Yeah.
and that many people who claim to not actually be sex
You know?
essentialists are functionally sex essentialists.
They don't have that same internal perception. And then people might say, well, what about like deer gender? You know, we have sort of social and
Well, there's the hey, look, now he's name dropping my partner. Isn't that curious?
Dear gender.
engagement.
Although, like, there was this Twitch person, Twitch person that was supposed to, like,
So now
they had that dear gender, but like what?
you're doing the opposite of gender abolition.
People really
which
get
now
so
you're
upset over.
unironically saying everything is gender or everything is gendered. I thought your goal here is to get rid of gender. Now you're going to tell me that, well, yeah, trees actually do have gender.
So thank goodness.
Nobody said that trees have gender,
That
by
Hunter
the way.
Avallone
Nobody
has
said that.
come out against satire, against critique. He's totally come out against turning systems on their head. I'm sure that he does this all the rest of the time. But yet, when trans people, when non-binary people say, "Hey, you don't actually know what gender is. The entire world is gendered. There are man wipes and man razors, woman cars, man cars in our society. We are forcibly gendered from the day that we are born. The doctor literally comes in and assigns us our gender."
And in cases of languages like Polish, all the words are gendered. Like the words to go, to drink, to read are gendered. Book is gendered. Cola is gendered. Everything is gendered. Words get gendered.
When we are a baby, before we have even had any experiences or expressed ourselves
All
in
the
any
abstract
way, and then
concepts get
somebody says,
gendered.
"You should pay attention to the fact that everything is gendered anyway. I'm gonna gender it in my own way."
True.
And then he freaks the fuck out.
True. That is what happens. Don't freak Hunter Avallone out. Please.
You can identify
Be
with.
more mama. Why
You're
would you do
making more
this,
gender.
dude?
You're adding gender where there was not previous.
Why would
You
you
are
freak
literally doing the opposite of
Hunter?
abolishing gender. It's
Why so much pushback? Is the real question, right? True.
Is that true?
That is the real
Is
question.
it true? If you think
No,
about
the
it,
real question is why would you traumatize poor Hunter like this? Why would you do this to Hunter? Hunter, what has Hunter done to you? That you need to traumatize him with this gender. Traumatize? You want to traumatize Hunter with genders, Gignats? Oh my gosh. Poor Hunter.
gender and its current form demands a binary. Gender in our society has not moved away from the binary. There are men's rooms, men's clothes, men's cars, women's cars, blah, 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 blah.
There should be just bathroom and stalls for people that want privacy, you know? That's it. Bathrooms and stalls. There you go. Problem solved, right? It's like, it's not like really rocket science.
As a binary, they argue that there are only two. If you refuse that assertion, by definition, you are not upholding gender. You are not making gender more gendery. You are breaking what people claim about gender. What Hunter Avallone is claiming about gender here. Hunter Avallone's gender abolitionist position is that everything has to be with regard to masculine or feminine.
True, that is
a binary motherfucking system. People who say,
True.
no, it doesn't. I can build my gender inspired by the sun. I can build my gender inspired by my friends. I can build my gender inspired by anything.
My friends!
It's not a binary. It's not making the gender binary worse. It's actively refuting it. It is a personal act, or rather, I should say, in many cases, a public act of refutation of this system.
True. It's truly mon
completely
mama.
contradictory. It does not make sense. And this is why I always say that gender needs to refer to something. You cannot say
my
I'm
gosh.
gender.
This is such a destiny position. The underlying fact of the matter. Crap.
And that means now your gender is tree. Are trees masculine or feminine? Do we perceive them as being masculine?
Actually, we perceive, in Polish we perceive it as it, but yes, in many languages we actually do gender items and things as masculine and feminine. So you've walked yourself into a little bit of like a trap card, Hunter Avallone, Because there are many languages in which, yes, trees could possibly be perceived as masculine or feminine depending on grammar. There you
Masculine or
go.
feminine? No. And if then you're going to say that actually we do, again, you're gendering things that didn't
Femyaz says, no, I disagree with Hunter. He's advocating for gender to be bimodal, not binary. No, he's not. No, he isn't. That doesn't apply here. Bimodal refers to how you would graph gender expression. He is explicitly arguing that non-binary identities must refer to masculine and feminine. His argument is not for a bimodal system, which doesn't apply here because bimodal refers to
Sex.
how you would graph out.
Bimodal refers to sex. Let's start there. It doesn't refer to gender. Gender is not a bimodal distribution of traits, whatever that means, like whatever that would mean in terms of gender. Bimodal distribution of traits refers to sex. So that's not even like a term that is comparable here. French, German, Polish, right? And many mixed gender trees often, right? So like I think using bimodal with gender is incorrect to begin with, considering that that's a term used for sex, right?
Assumptions of people's perception. He is arguing for a binary system. You might not like that, but that's what he's arguing. He might not intend that, but that's what he's arguing.
previously have gender. Gender exists as a social construct, but it is a social construct which regards to how you perceive yourself and how you behave and express yourself externally in regards to masculinity, femininity, or a complete rejection of that binary. But
My man, okay, what does a rejection of that binary look like? I would love that. I would love to hear him illustrate what a rejection of the binary looks like that doesn't look identical to a xenogender or a neopronoun.
Right.
It is a rejection of the binary. Hell, even they, them is a certain form of rejection of the binary.
Although it's actually, if I think about it for a second, in some languages, it's like basically, in some cases, parts of the regular language. In Polish, you refer to children as it, you know? Children are it in Polish.
But not to the same degree, because not that I'm saying not to the same degree, because they them is a pre-existing pronoun that is already seen as compatible with the binary model. I'm not saying that non-binary people who use they them are less revolutionary. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm just saying from a linguistic perspective. What does it look like to reject the binary if it doesn't look like xenogender people who are saying, no, I refuse to pull from masculine and feminine. I define my gender and my identity differently.
Right.
I don't think he has an answer. I don't think he'll provide an answer.
But regardless, it refers to some kind of view of masculinity or femininity. And finally, when a trans woman says they are a woman, they are a woman. If somebody says, I'm tree gender...
Why? Why? When people say, I am a woman, we say you are a woman because we recognize that this is an identity. This is an abstract identity that can be claimed for oneself. Why can't someone claim tree gender? Why can't someone claim deer gender? Why can't someone claim any gender that they so
But
please?
you can't just claim things, okay? You have to work for it. Pull yourself by your bootstraps or something.
You are not a tree, because a tree is not referring to a socially constructed gender identity the same way that
Tree and tree gender aren't the same thing,
True.
are they?
People are not saying I'm a
woman
tree.
or man is. So it doesn't make sense. It doesn't add up at all. And I don't think that my position here is super fucking intense and crazy. Now, it might be to some dipshits on
No, it's fucking stupid though. It is fucking stupid. And the fact that you're still banging on this drum after literally 6 months, and that you specifically bring up my partner, who was the target of a massive fucking hate campaign by a social group that you associate with,
True.
that makes it a little different, doesn't it? It does kind of push it into that fucked up category, doesn't it?
Twitter, and that's fine. But for the most part, what I'm saying here
Hello, Giggler.
encompasses the validity of trans people and the validity of
Are you
non-binary.
new to the stream? Good for Gabby. You are new here. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I do many things. I do politics. I do history. I do languages. I do giggling. I do and we are playing the whole Final Fantasy series on stream. We have beaten 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and now we're on 7. Okay, it's true. I'm the biggest Polish trans streamer, which just tells me that the reality of Polish trans streaming is very, small. Very small amount of trans people streaming in Poland, but it's okay. I am slowly but surely growing in size, okay? It's gonna be okay. So thank you for being here. I hope oh, thank you. Hope you enjoy yourself, okay? It's true. We might soon have an interesting talk on the stream, to which I'm actually gonna send a message to a person quickly. Oh, maybe later. Maybe later. Seems busy streaming. But yeah, let's return to the video.
People.
I have a pretty... The more time passes, the more radical stance I have on xenogenders, you know? There's just if we... First of all, I have a pretty radical stance on non-binary people as well, if you think about it. Technically speaking, first of all, we're all non-binary, because if gender is non-binary, then there is no such thing as a binary gender. Let's realize that men and women are just part of the non-binary spectrum, you know. So there is no such thing. There's just if gender is non-binary and we accept that, then there is no such thing as a binary gender. Does that make sense? I think that makes sense. That makes sense to me, you know?
While also recognizing that gender cannot simultaneously be nothing and everything while you want to abolish gender. And you're right. Ben Shapiro's wife identifies as a doctor. That's a good...
That is actually the real, it is actually the real, how do you say, nonsense to think that they can be non-binary gender when their gender is not a binary, right? But the whole identifying as a doctor, you can this could mean for you that you identify strongly with medicine and what it brings to the world, not that you identify as a licensed doctor, right? There you go. I've answered to the Hunter's argument here, right?
Good point. So what separates...
There you go.
Here we go, everybody.
Easy.
This is gonna
Easy.
be a galaxy brain take. Let's just let him wind up again. This is about to be a galaxy brain take.
that gender cannot simultaneously be nothing and everything while you want to abolish gender. And you're right. Ben Shapiro's wife identifies as a doctor. That's a good point. So what separates an identity in line with your career as opposed to a gender identity? What makes it different? If you're going to answer that question, you need to have an understanding of what gender refers to. When I say, I identify as a doctor, that means that you have a career and a profession, essentially validates your
No. Wait. A doctor doesn't identify as a doctor. A doctor is just has a certificate of being a doctor. You know, it's not a doctor is not an identity, it's an occupation, right? A doctor is not a personal identity. It's like it's a title that you have. It's like an occupation, right?
Wow. He doesn't even know that he's explaining the difference to himself while getting offended. Saying I am a doctor is a claim of expertise. It is not a claim of expression.
It's okay. You have time. You can remember and tell me. And you should join the Discord if you haven't already.
It never is going to be. I mean, actually, there are some fraud doctors out there like Dr. Oz, you know, Dr. Phil.
Actually, I mean, you might think I'm giving you a really ridiculous example, but look at Doctor Who. The Time Lord Doctor identifies as the Doctor, but he's not actually a medical doctor, and yet everyone calls him the Doctor, and there's no problem with it, you know?
Those guys identify as doctors.
Like it's fiction, but it's like it does speak to the fact that they do respect the person's identity as the Doctor, quote unquote, right? The person that wants to help people, right? As his identity is wrapped up around helping people, I guess, you know? It's like, and people respect it, you know?
And, you know, you don't hear this shit about it. They don't practice. They run
People don't complain about the doctor being the doctor.
on a TV show, but they have a doctorate. But generally, in 99.9% of situations, saying I am a doctor is claiming your expertise. And therefore, there is a pre-existing societal expectation. In fact, in our society, doctors literally have to take a vow. It's called the Hippocratic Oath. The Hippocratic Oath binds all medical professionals in our society. This is a totally separate structure to gender. It's a literally totally different concept.
It is a profession. It's a profession.
A claim about expertise, which we have various systems for verifying that expertise is true, including testing, including...
And again, even with that, the fictitious doctor is not actually a trained doctor. He just says that he chose the thing because the doctors help people and he's the doctor, right?
Work requirements, literally not even the same thing. And he's actually answering it here without recognizing that he's answering it.
Profession as a doctor. But if I say, I'm a woman, I'm a man, I am non-binary, that's how I identify, what does that mean? It means that's referring to your internal perception and identity of yourself in regards to masculinity, femininity, or a rejection of both. So that is basically my...
Okay, and so somebody who says that I use tree pronouns or says that I'm tree gender is expressing their rejection of both. Right? He never even touches this. He just ignores it. He's just so mad and so lost in his feelings for 6 months, by the way. Over 6 months. Been raging about this. His emotions, his fifis have been so hurt that he felt it necessary to make a video like this where he doesn't even think about the thing that he's so mad about.
I mean...
opinion when it comes to gender. And I've been thinking this
They
out.
do say that anger can blind you, you know? So that does make sense that you wouldn't think, right? It sort of, to a degree, makes sense, right?
Out. A lot.
No, you
Hopefully
fucking haven't. No, you fucking haven't, bro. If this is the best thought that you have, if 6 months and this is all you've got, you need to seriously analyze your ability to be a commentator on this sort of thing.
It's noticeable that I put thought into this. I am not just jumping on here saying, haha, Xenogenders cringe, lol, lol, lol. No, I actually think that they are unironically...
Actually, that's literally what you did. You did that when you posted this video, and you just did it again the other day. You just called them stupid and illogical.
If you join, I'm just
without an
gonna...
argument. Basically,
What's your name
you
on
called the fucking
Discord?
Ben Shapiro. You went on and went, you know, it's just everybody can tell.
Have you joined? What's your name on Discord? I'm just gonna give you... I'm gonna give you the role, okay? You don't worry. Don't worry about it. I'm gonna give you the... I'm gonna give you the role. Are you the... So you just join and it should be okay. But you have to tell me like what your name is when you join. And I'll just give you... Oh, you lost the password to the phone? Ah, to the Discord. Okay. I see. I thought you couldn't join because you like some problems with the typing on the phone. Oh.
Everybody can tell.
Yeah. But don't worry. We will wait for you.
And then says a racist thing, that this thing is true. You don't even have to look into it. You can just think about it and you can see with your own eyes. That's what Hunter just did. Hunter just literally logged on and called a bunch of people who have never harmed him at all cringe without ever thinking about it. No, we're not finishing the rest of this video. The rest of this video is him just sort of like flying off the handle at some video about gender, and then he debates a trans person at the end. We're not watching that shit. I think this basically...
there's more.
Fog Knight brings up, did you see that he had a 2-hour debate with his wife over Xenogenders?
Yes.
Yeah, a lot of people have mentioned that. I did not know that he got in like a literal... like a down and out argument with his wife over it because his wife disagreed with him. I also saw his wife disagreeing with him on Twitter again as well. So apparently they haven't worked it out either between them.
True.
Oh boy. What a mess.
What a mess indeed.
So of course, Hunter's argument is completely bullshit, but it's especially bullshit that he's trying to sell you that argument
Steven
while
type
claiming to be a
argument.
gender abolitionist, while also, you know, jumping on board with a dogpiling harassment campaign against my partner, while also just actually contributing directly by calling anybody who identifies differently than he wants them to stupid, illogical, invalid, all the other things that he did. And quite frankly, it's bog standard conservative stuff that he's given a very, very lazy progressive coat of paint. I don't really care much for Hunter Avallone anymore. As I said in the very beginning, I gave this motherfucker a long leash as far as I'm concerned politically. I gave this guy so much charitability. He had everything from like me just avidly supporting him, trying to make sure, literally coaching him. He like literally used arguments that I gave him against Lauren Southern, which, hey, good job against Lauren Southern, bro. But I wish you would apply that level of effort to, you know, thinking before you jump on board to try and bully a minority of people online just because you personally don't understand. It's are xenogenders so powerful it puts a rift in a marriage? Yeah.
True. Damn.
Naomi says, have you seen Vosh's take on xenogenders? I have. At least I've seen some of his takes on xenogenders, and most of the time he just seems... I mean, but this is because Vosh is actually like... Vosh actually generally understands gender. Vosh actually understands what a gender abolitionist position is.
True.
Yeah. I mean, maybe like a year ago or 2 years ago, Vosh had a different position. But from my position, Vosh has always been, had a pretty solid grasp on the idea of gender abolitionism. And Vosh has been a pretty principled gender abolitionist for some time.
Vosh is a gender, an actual...
I don't know about his system takes.
Gender.
I don't really know about that. That's not exactly directly tied to this. So, yeah. Dude, just shut the fuck up, man. You sound like an idiot. You look like an asshole. I know that he's been going on a blocking spree, which to me just indicates that he's sort of chosen his path, that he's just like, I'm gonna be the the reactionary liberal now. I'm just gonna like get really mad over things that I don't understand. But you know, as to like move away from Hunter Avallone himself and talk about the topic at large. First off, xenogender people aren't hurting anyone at all. There are not even that many.
You're in? Okay. Thank you so yes, Giggler. I'm gonna, how you say, boom. You are this. I'm gonna, where are you? Where are you, Giggler? Please tell me. Hatchling ground. Okay, I'll wait for you to join. In the meantime, we watching more. Demon Mama, who I have debated on stream, did you know? I bet you did not know I debated Demon Mama. But you can watch the video of our hardcore debate. You can watch it on my channel. It's like a boom, boom, boom. We debated hardcore.
Xenogender people out there. And the worst thing that you will see is somebody saying, like, I use tree pronouns. They're not hurting anybody. They're not hurting anyone at all. There's no reason to act as though, I should say, there's no reason to lie and say that xenogender people are harming the trans movement. When we all know who's harming the trans movement. It's conservatives, it's Republicans, it's Christians. These are the people who are hurting trans people. They hurt trans people and they hurt xenogender people who are usually trans all the same. They don't care, they don't discriminate, they target both of them. Sometimes conservatives will pick on somebody and use them as a bludgeon by which to harm other people, but they do this all the time. Conservatives
they don't care.
Terrible. Conservatives are threatening to literally strip away all the freedoms that we know in lieu of a Christian fucking theocracy.
True.
Is that really the bar that we're gonna have here?
True.
Is that really it?
It is, it seems so.
Xenogender people aren't hurting anybody. Xenogender people fit perfectly within any rational or intelligent model of being non-binary. It's so obvious to me. It's just like, I don't know how you can say like non-binary.
I mean, I can understand because, like, Hunter Avallone, as Demon Mama has said herself, is in the camp of Steven. And Steven recently has gone hard against non-binary as a concept itself. So keep this in mind, and it all suddenly makes grim sense.
You can identify that non-binary is a thing, but then you can be mad about people being non-binary.
Can he really?
Like, unless you actually believe in like a pseudo-trinary. Where, well, I should say, if we're going to talk about Hunter specifically, Hunter obviously makes an argument for a binary in the video, as I explained. But there are a lot of people who are like, yeah, non-binary people are valid. It's the third thing.
Yeah, exactly.
There's no, they don't actually dive into what it means to be non-binary. It's just male, female, and the third one.
Yeah.
But that's not what being non-binary is. Non-binary isn't entering into a trinary. It's
nonsense.
These systems are a terrible, terrible way for us to live, and I'm not going to live that way. Hot and D-Pad says, many people will say this gives ammo to the conservatives, but I would respond, you are giving them the ammo. Yeah, exactly. You notice that? That like Hunter's, the core, the like justification for Hunter's argument is that this is gonna be bad and give ammunition to conservatives. This is gonna hurt the trans movement. Yet he's the one making the video on it. He's the one lighting these people up and doing it again after 6 months. It's literally just, what the fuck, man? You are the problem. You are the one doing the problem right now.
True. What can I say? It's true.
Yeah, exactly. Thought Knight says, Hunter ends up when Hunter plays this role, he plays the role of one of the good ones to conservatives. And of course, let's not forget the whole Keffel's doxing incident. Let's not forget the participating and jumping on board a massive harassment campaign against my partner bit. Let's not forget all of the ways in which Hunter Avallone has displayed that he is the online left's fucking village idiot.
Oh my god. Oh my gosh.
Doesn't he understand his position on xenogenders could lead to the targeted harassment of xenogenders? That's the goal. That's the goal. That's what he's doing.
Very
When he says, when he makes a tweet being
That
like,
put an image in my
xenogenders are
mind.
stupid and neopronouns are illogical. These things are invalid.
That put an image
You're
in my
stupid.
mind.
When he goes on a rant
Oh,
about
that's
somebody
funny.
who didn't do him any harm. By the way, when he did this video, when he said the vamp thing, the person who uses vamp pronouns, that's a specific person he's referring to. He's signaling to his audience to go to be mad at a specific person. Now, that in and of itself doesn't constitute a harassment campaign, but when you combine it with months of relitigating this, months of reigniting the fire, it starts to build into something like that, doesn't it? There's another thing, okay? People like Hunter like to talk about being like not politically correct. They like to
Oh
talk
my
about not
gosh.
being like, you know, they speak it like it is.
True.
You're not being punk rock. You're not cool by randomly picking on people that you don't understand.
True.
You're not cool by choosing like the smallest percentage of people on the planet who aren't doing any harm to anyone and like just like grinding your finger down on them for fun. That is, in fact, like, it is politically incorrect to be the one who defends that.
True.
These
And
people,
ironically,
the people who defend against that, I should say, not defend that, who should defend
Like,
against that. People who are willing to say, hey, those
that
people
is actually
aren't hurting
not
you.
political.
They're not doing anything wrong. They're challenging gender in their own way. Shut the fuck up. That's politically incorrect. That's called having a fucking spine. I really fucking hate that there's a lot of fucking people online who basically get the idea in their
Nice.
heads that like what made George Carlin politically incorrect was that he was mean. They think that like being politically incorrect means that you're mean to people, that you treat people badly, that you don't have consistent morals. When in truth, that's not what it is at all. It's not rebellious or revolutionary or cool to just be an asshole for no reason because you don't understand something.
It's not. It's just abiding to the norm. So by
Anyway.
design, you're being politically
That's
correct.
basically all there is to say about xenogenders. I mean, you know, we could watch a video about it, but I think I actually laid out basically every single argument here.
Right.
Xenogender and other non-binary identities are ways of with your
Okay, we're
public
gonna watch the
expression,
one thing after as well.
critiquing and challenging and defying the gender binary. And I think it's cool.
Yeah, I think it's cool as
I don't
well.
use neopronouns. I'm not a xenogender. I am by all believe it or not, by all comparisons, I'm one of the more close to the binary, non-binary people. Maybe I'm just not that adventurous with that type of expression, and that's fine too. You don't have to be. Nobody's
Yeah,
saying that everybody has
exactly.
to be a xenogender or everybody has to use, you know, neopronouns. But it's absurd
Freedom
to say
for all,
that
right?
people aren't being non-binary correctly because they decide to challenge the binary with their action. Aska says, how does Demon Mama live with the fact that she always has the best takes? Well, you know, I reside, after my stream, I retreat to my big comfy armchair and the energy, the flows of the universe sort of just flow into me. And I just go, yes, the correctness is powerful. Paul M says, with the incredibly generous $20, attackers of xenogender sound like they'd reject anything that would be a new category added to any pre-existing system. They wouldn't reject a new classification of heavenly bodies, so why would they, by default, reject xenogenders? Exactly. It's literally just reactionary. I don't understand this. This is new. I feel cringe about this.
I mean, that is
Therefore,
true.
It must be
That
bad.
is what
it
it
must
is.
be harmful. Notice that in his entire segment on it, he provides no evidence of the actual harm whatsoever. He doesn't
Yeah.
even articulate what he thinks the harm is. He just says it's harming. It's a remarkably fucking stupid argument. Also, I just should point this out real quick, just as a way, just as a real, sorry about that, just as a real quick
what
way
happened?
to sort of wrap this off.
Okay.
Can we find the video here?
Which one?
Hey, shut the fuck up. That's not what I was talking about.
Oh, don't
Maybe
be
he took it
mean.
down. Looks like he maybe unlisted it. Let's see. Maybe it's on his VODs list. Does he have a VODs one? I really wanted to see this. I really wanted to show you guys this. Yeah, here we go. Here it is.
What is it? Giggler.
Under Xenogender attack, drama, debates, and more. This motherfucking snowflake, this little fucking wimp is whining online about how he's under attack when
Wow.
he was the one who reignited this stupid fucking discourse after 6
Wow.
goddamn months so that he could repost his fucking brain dead video.
True.
Can you be more fucking snowflakey than that? To be
No.
like, I'm under attack. I'm being attacked by the Xenogenders. 1% of 1% of the people on the internet
Yeah.
who I've been ruthlessly bullying for 6 months and calling stupid and illogical with no actual argument to back it up. They're coming for me. I have no fucking respect for this shit. What a fucking weak, cucked ass position. So there you have it, everybody. In summary, Hunter Avallone is perhaps the left's biggest fucking cuck. There you have it.
Oh no.
The man who is afraid of deer.
True. Let's see if there should be follow-up discussions.
Now, if you
okay.
enjoyed smack
I will
that
smack.
mother
Smack it.
fucking like button and press subscribe and make sure that you ring the bell and throw a few dollars my way because we got a whole bunch more
Crap, your dollars my way as
doing a
well.
react
Come on.
to a
Giggling.
expose, or
Oh.
I should say a conflict, a drama between Bad Bunny and Keffals here. in
Bad
just a few
Bunny.
minutes. We're gonna chat and I'm gonna take some questions from
Bad Bunny.
etc. But throw me some cash. Throw
You
me
might
your
as well
for
watch that as well,
and Make
right?
sure you're subscribed to the channel because I know you fucking love the fire. I know you guys are here for the
I
demon
love it,
energy.
yeah. How
And
did
I
you
got the
know?
best fucking energy around. What can I say?
How did you know that I like the energy? I do like it, it's true. How did you know about this? How did you know about me liking the energy?
Oh, absolutely, Atheist Mando. I'm pointing out the absurdity of claiming that you give a shit about these issues while targeting a minority of a minority.
True.
Yeah.
Oh, the train is gone.
Yeah, like the stream or a deer will come in the night and steal your gender away. You'll wake up in the morning and you'll be like, oh my God, I don't know what I am anymore. And then you'll have to go on a gender journey to discover gender for yourself. And you'll find yourself afterwards no longer adhering to the gender binary. You'll be freer than you ever were. You will no longer think of yourself in 2 separate boxes, which you desperately have to painfully straddle every single day as you try to choose between the man wipes or the woman wipes. And instead, you will awaken. By the way, this is the reason right here, that little goofy rant that I just did is the reason why I always talk about gender ascensionism. I don't even use the term abolish. And the reason why I consider myself a gender ascensionist, and you should also consider yourself a gender ascensionist, is because we should emancipate ourselves. We should ascend it. We will become greater, more powerful, more sexy beings if we reject gender and
I'd
rise
be
above
sexy?
it to something greater.
Okay. Oh, drinking. I drink as well. Did you know this about me? Long.
Lucas B20 from YouTube chat says, I asked this before. You were talking about ascribing animal characteristics and names to things like silver fox. Isn't alpha behavior literally the same thing? Yes! That's another perfect example. I didn't even bring that one up. The fact that the entire conservative manosphere talks about themselves as wolves constantly. I'm the alpha. You're the beta. I'm a lion. You're the lioness. I'm the big gray wolf. You're the baby wolf.
Don't be
That
sheep.
shit is the only way that it is different from Xenogenders is that it's more cringe and also worse.
The whole don't be sheep.
But other than that, it's the same basic principle. It's saying my social identity is built out of things that I am inspired by.
But when conservatives do it, of course, it's a lot more essentialist. Let's add that
Fun
caveat.
fact, the idea of the alpha wolf doesn't even exist. It was disproven by the guy who came up with it. Actually, it does actually, alpha wolves do exist, but they only exist in captivity. In nature, there is no such thing as an alpha wolf. They only exist that way.
I'm an
when they're
alpha
forced into
duck.
captivity.
Alpha
That's
duck?
where the alpha beta behavior comes from. The guy
Alpha
who originally
duck?
did it
Come
was
on.
specifically was very careful to say this is about observing wolves that are in captivity, which of course, wolves that are in captivity are interacting with humans. They are being trained by humans. They are being sometimes punished and hurt by humans.
Oh, no.
So they of course have a different social structure than wild wolves. But wild wolf observations there is no evidence whatsoever of alpha and beta wolves in wild wolves.
Beta wolves. Alpha wolves.
Skunksy says, can you
Beta
talk a bit how
wolf.
more true scummy types see us as dead weight that drag down the real trans people?
Oh,
It's an
yeah.
important point to hit on. Oh yeah, I can do that for sure.
It's
So
like a really, that's a really good thing. And I think it's like an important time to push back against this. So I'm really happy this video exists. I'm really happy this exists.
I actually wouldn't even use the word true scum here. I would use the word assimilationist. So
True.
to
yeah.
really boil down a complex issue, there are more or less two positions in the queer world. There are assimilationists and there are liberationists, okay? And a liberationist position is like people who say, yeah, we can use tree gender, we can use all of these things. We are undermining gender with our own actions. Whereas assimilationists believe basically that you have to consider optics at all times, and that the goal of the queer movement should be to blend in as much as possible so as to be normalized. I obviously am not an assimilationist. I think that assimilationism is murder. Like, not literal murder. It's like you're killing yourself. You're saying, I am going to change myself so that I fit in. You will
The
never
norm,
fit in.
quote unquote.
It's just not how it goes. Some people might. Some of the like most cleanest gay couples, some of the most cleanest lesbian couples, some of the cleanest trans people might fit in. But as we all know, even they are targeted by even the most so-called normal and trans person is super targeted by transphobes.
Yeah, of course.
Look at even Blair White. Blair White is like the ultimate form of an assimilationist.
True.
She believes that the best way to blend in is to
She
insult
was-
all
she
of the
had
trans
a lot
people,
of,
to adhere to a trans
like,
medicalist model that
yeah.
claims that you must have surgery or else you're not a real trans person.
She didn't have surgery, by the
And
way.
then even she, if you go to the comments of her videos, just full of transphobia. We watched a panel that Blair White was on where another conservative literally said that you need to take off all that makeup so that we can see your mustache. That's the type of treatment that Blair gets for being an assimilationist. Assimilationism doesn't work. You don't win by killing yourself on behalf of the people who are oppressing you.
True.
It's a terrible position. And yes, assimilationists do end up in these weird positions where they throw people under the bus for no reason,
Yeah.
because they don't want to be associated with that person. It's like if you were it's like in like a movie where like the popular kid is like really good, or like two kids are friends, one of them's a nerd and the other one becomes a popular kid in high school, and then he stops talking to the nerd even though they've been really good friends because he doesn't want to be seen as being associated with them. It's the exact same mentality.
true, it
it's
is.
basically,
It is.
oh, xenogenders, ooh, yuck. Yeah, I don't like them either. They make me look bad. Get away from me. It's completely stupid and irrational and evil in my position.
True.
So,
That is true.
I hope that makes sense.
100%. It makes sense. Yeah. It makes total
Yeah,
sense.
be a rad norm, as I call that. That's an old one. Damn, the radical normie
my gosh.
is an old term. It's basically somebody who's trying so hard to seem like they're a normie that they're like a radical normie, you know?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Radical normie.
A turbo normie. Yeah.
Turbo was a bubblegum in the early 90s, I think.
Yeah.
Did you know this about me? Oh, not about me, about the bubblegum.
Zero Divisor says, I had a debate with someone this morning who was trans and said that xenogenders are insulting. If that's true, if you're insulted by xenogenders, you need to look inside yourself, because that's a you problem. I'm telling you this. I'm telling you this outright. If you are offended by the existence of people who challenge gender differently than you do, that's a you problem. Trans people challenge gender on the exact same lines that xenogender people do. It is the exact same core struggle. You might not think about it that way. You personally might not feel that way, but it's the same thing. anybody who violates in a binary system, anyone who violates the binary, either by crossing it or by going above it and leaving it entirely, all of those people are in the same boat. You have to understand that the binary, the Christian enforced, conservative enforced binary, which rules our lives, like I said, which creates dude wipes and fucking girl wipes.
Dude wipes.
That binary is a binary because it's not supposed to be violated.
Dude
and that's
wipes.
why people are bullied for wearing the wrong colors, for wearing the wrong clothes, for talking in certain ways, for painting their nails or for not painting their nails. It's why girls get made fun of if they like to do rough and tumble things, because that's not girl behavior. It's why boys get made fun of for being artistic, because that's gay and that's not boy
my
behavior.
gosh.
It's the same thing. It is they are measuring deviancy. They're not measuring whether you're playing by their rules, because their rules don't make any sense.
True.
They are measuring whether you deviate from what they claim is the norm.
True.
Hope that makes sense.
It makes sense. Unfortunately, this is the world that we live in.
So-
Unfortunately, it makes sense. Unfortunately, it makes sense.
Yeah, and I understand. I understand why people fall into the assimilationist position. I should be clear about this, because I've been pretty fiery in this section, but I want you to understand. I understand how people get there. There's a lot of pain involved with being trans, any type of trans. Xenogender, non-xenogender, even if you are the most binary trans person who has ever existed, there is a lot of pain there. And I understand that a lot of times it's like you want to just be treated like you just want to be treated like everybody else. You want to be treated like a person. You want to be treated like a being worthy of respect.
But I don't think that wanting to be treated like everybody else, like a person, is worth making all other people around you suffer, you know? It's not worth it. It's really not.
That's not the answer. It isn't. It doesn't work. It might buy you a few seconds of relief, but at the end of the day, it doesn't actually get you anywhere. It doesn't free you, and it requires you to ultimately denounce people who don't deserve denouncing. See, that's the thing that really gets to me, is that assimilationism requires being horrible to people who have done nothing wrong, in the exact same way that the binary requires being horrible to people who've done nothing wrong.
Exactly. It's not worth, you know?
Yep, as the Dark Canuck says, when you're punching down, you really aren't paying attention to the people above you holding you down. Yep.